Okay guys, this is the next one. I think I spoke about this in the last video, but now you get to see the whole thing. Excuse me now if there's a bit of wind noise and there's a little bit of tractor noise. They're just cutting silage there in the background. But this is, I believe, a Ford 4000. Now, story with this one, and I'm racking my brains trying to remember because I knew the time it happened. This tractor was parked up one evening, had been working, and caught fire through an electrical fault. Incredibly lucky, it was actually inside in a building and flames are coming out over the door. They managed to get it out of there and save the building, but the tractor got fairly comprehensively burnt. Now, subsequent to that, there was some work done. I was talking to the owner about it and he was trying to remember, but he believes that they did get it running after the fire, but then it just got shoved from corner to corner and it was just left there. It was never finished off. So yeah, so it was, he thinks, running, or at least there was some prep work put in to get it running. I was trying to remember when that fire was. I think it might have been 2001, 2002. So you could say this thing has probably been here 20 years now. Not in this position, it was down the other side of the yard here, and then it was in a building for a while. But as you can see, it's spent a fair few years in this place. So I'm going to have to do some gardening so that we can get in and get a look at it, but I'll give you just a rough idea of how badly this thing got done. So I think I recall at the time this had glass in it and things. The fire took that out, so you can see the lower panels in the front of the cab all got burnt. You can see where the fire burned right back on top of the diesel tank underneath the dashboard. I'm not sure if that's the original wheel or was the wheel replaced since, and basically everything all the way forward burnt, bar the headlights. So I got fairly comprehensively cooked. The tyres didn't go at the time. The fire brigade managed to extinguish it before it got that bad, but I'll just take you in the back here. Let's get under this electric fence, and you can see where the dash got pretty well cooked. See, it melted the lights in here inside in the dash, melted the indicators, exhaust got completely burnt. You can see the fire went right down, so there's absolutely zero wiring in this thing. It burnt all the way down there. I believe as well it actually burned through the fuel system, and the diesel was coming out and burning in the ground. I'll just pause you there 2 seconds. Sorry, I was just letting the mower pass there. That radiator looks like it's probably a replacement. Now we'll have to, they've covered the engine up luckily, so we'll have to take all this off and have a proper look at it. But you can see down there there's some tin work. He did say that he bought pretty much all the parts to do the repair at the time. So I think there's some here and there's probably some inside in the shed, so we'll dig those out. So what I'll do now is I'm going to grab the brush cutter, or sorry, the hedge cutter, brought it with me, and cut around this thing. We'll do a bit of gardening and we'll see what we're dealing with. We'll take the cover off the top of the engine, see what's there, and see what we need to do. Do the usual checks, try and wind her over by hand, and then see if the starter motor is present or if it has survived. And I do seem to recall that one side of the tractor was a lot more burnt than the other. I think it was the alternator side, which was that side that it looked like the fire started in the loom behind the alternator and burnt back through the tractor. So do a bit of cleaning, we'll expose it. Now the good news in this one is the part should be here, and he does want to put it back into working condition. So if we can get this one fired up, there is a good chance that it will be saved. Alright, let's get to work. Okay, so got a clearer picture now. We've got the some of the stuff come back. So the battery tray was replaced, and the reason I know that is it's got this cable, and I believe that was probably off a later tractor. The original battery tray must have been completely foobarred. Somebody's also replaced all the return hoses because all this was completely and utterly burnt out, and somebody fitted a temporary fuel line to it and a new fuel filter. So chances are this thing was fired up. Now the diesel tank, that's the line off the tank was obviously never reconnected. I don't know is the tank cold or not. I do recall the time the fire, apparently all the fuel came out of it. Now whether that was through a rubber line or what, I don't know. So I'm not sure if we have a lift pump or not. I'll have to have a look at it. I don't think we have a lift pump, so I'll have to have a look at that. Not sure. I doubt these lines are connected the right way either. Looking at it, I'm going to have I'm not overly familiar with this pump. I wonder, is it a CAV or some form of CAV, the same as the David Brown's? So I'm going to have a peek at that. This radiator hose obviously was fitted brand new. I would say that's probably used radiator that was fitted, because I think the original, funny feeling, even the top of the tank was gone, it was so badly burnt. And there's a new rad hose on this side. There's no electrical system whatsoever. Fuel filter could do it, or oil filter could do it being changed. And I'm just pull that dipstick. Let's see. Yeah, she's got oil in her. So the other thing I would say here is somebody made up a new set of battery leads for her. They've even got connections. So I would imagine when they did it, they just fired her up straight off the solenoid, because there is no whirling loom left in this thing. The entire whirling loom is gone. You can see even there, like how far back the fire travelled. That seems to have given a little bit of a roast into the gearbox, or the bell housing, and obviously the front corner of the cab. Even looking at the tyres there, you can make out, I know the tyres are perched and things, they've been sitting a long time, but it looks, I do recall at the time, I think there was fire damage to the rears, especially this one. You can see there it's pretty mangled, but you can see right there, like for the fire, again, it's a new Jubilee clip and that, so that'll be a new connection. So I'm looking at that diesel tank, but I imagine she's completely empty. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. There's also a bunch of tin work in here, so I'm going to just clear more of these briars and try and get that tin work out, and we'll have a look at what we have. Exhaust manifold was covered. Inlet was also covered, but there I can feel some crap inside in it. So we need to clean out that inlet manifold. This pipe, I believe, would have been the one that went from a flexi in the inlet manifold and came around the front. There'd have been an oil bath air filter, I would say, at this year on the front of it. And there's also that pipe, that breather pipe, just needs to be pulled the back of it to clear the fan. Okay, so I dig around in the undergrowth behind the tractor. Found this, which is a very crispy and well rotten bonnet, which would have been the original one, which, as I say, got completely and utterly burnt. Then we have a nose cone that has had a fair bit of fire damage and subsequent rust, including in the inside, and you can see where the wiring in the horn and things is completely burnt out. So This must have been the one fitted to the tractor at the time of the fire. And then we have what would appear to be a 4.6 bonnet and a grill. So I would imagine these were probably bought as replacements. Now, aside from that, we've also got down here, it looks like another metal pipe to join the pre-cleaner, or sorry, the air bath oil filter to the inlet manifold. And there's some other hoses down there that look like they were burnt. They were braid hoses. And the windscreen frame is there, obviously minus glass and rubber. And there are some doors which may or may not have been fitted at the time of the fire, I don't know. Even though it looks like that side got pretty well toasted. That side, the rubber between the mudguard and the frame are still there, so they probably survived. I also found rubber boot, probably a replacement one, I would say, for the inlet manifold. So, and tidy up anything that can get caught in the fan, and try and clean out that inlet manifold a bit, and let's see if we can maybe turn this thing over. Looking at the battery tray again, looking at the pattern damage in this thing. I don't think that battery tray actually got burnt. It's probably the original, because as I say, this side of the tractor, and you can see it there by where the flame spread inside the over on the diesel tank. I don't think that side suffered as badly as the opposite side. So maybe that's the original one. Yeah. Seems okay. Feels like it's got compression, so it's going to switch to the ratchet now and see can I turn it over in the ratchet. As I say, if I had enough extensions, it would have been very easy to do this. And the socket isn't exactly the right size, but that's this thing I've got, so that's what we're going to work with. Okay, so not sure if I caught the last part in camera or not, but I pulled the rocker cover and there was a lot of rust underneath the rocker cover. And by association, a lot of rust on top of the rockers. Now generally they look very clean, but I am going to get the I'm going to try and vacuum this out and get as much of that crud out of this engine as I can before I try firing it up. In the meantime, I'm just going to turn it over very carefully by hand and see what the story is. There's one feature in Fords that I really like, and it's this very useful adjustable tool tray that you get free. So it means when you're working the engine, you can just pop your stuff up there and move it around as you feel fit. So clean stuff out of there. I brought down, just blocked the push rod holes and brought down the small compressor and blew it out. I think there's some stuff inside the exhaust or the inlet manifold. For the sake of it, I just tried cracking the bolts just to see what they were like. They're all loose, so I'm just going to pull the inlet manifold for a minute and we check that. I think I can see some mouse droppings in there, so we make sure there's not any mouse house, and cleaned it out. I've got and picked up another extension when I was at home getting the compressor, and I'll try winding this engine over the rest of the way. Right, see, can we get a few revolutions in this engine? Socket. See, can I get this inlet manifold off? I started unbolting it yesterday just to clean it, try and crack that free, and we can then look to put the power to the starter. See, can we turn it? Yeah, glad I took this manifold off. As you can see, there's a lot of rusty deposits in this port, and I think there's some mouse house in that port. So we're doing some cleaning. Okay, so inner manifold is clean. Engine rotates by hand. Now we don't have a water pump at the moment because we've no belt. She's got oil, the original oil. It looks okay, it smells okay. It'll do for now. We'll try further it up in this and see how we do, and we can drop the oil then, give her a service. Don't have the fuel system connected yet. I need to connect fuel supply to the tank, but I think what we'll do is connect it up with a little switch. We connect the battery and just see will it crank over. I'm using the original leads and original lugs. They actually look alright. They were replaced obviously after the fire, so I'll try them out first and see how we do. I can swap them for my own leads if that doesn't work. Just make sure we're neutral, which we are. The other gearbox is stuck, but main box is in neutral. That'll do us. So I'll set up the cameras and connect it up and see can we get it to turn over. Decided for safety's sake I removed the oil pressure sender from the side of the engine. I'm going to fish my adapter and my oil pressure gauge instead, so we can keep an eye on the oil pressure while we crank her. Okay, let's go for it. Solenoid is working, but nothing out of the starter motor, so I'm going to have to very carefully try and strip the connections in the starter motor and clean them up. We'll see if that makes any difference. Hopefully that's all it is. It's been sitting a long time. There's a lot of corrosion around the connections on there, so we'll just clean everything up and give it another shot. Alright, given my pretty appalling record for breaking solenoids, I'm actually going to remove the starter completely off the tractor. And let's go through everything and clean it up. It's probably safer because there is corrosion in these cables and things. I was just being a little bit lazy and seeing could I get away with it, but we'll drop it out and give everything a thorough clean up and get it running hopefully. Okay, see if we can get anything out of it this time. Cody, stay back. Alrighty, let's refit it. You okay? Alrighty. Take two. Let's see if she'll crank this time. Right, not happy with the lead on the starter actually. I put its on lead back on, so I'm going to replace that and we give it another go. Right, I don't have a lead that's really suitable for the starter, so it's a bit of a mishmash at the moment. I have a lead there, but I need to get the proper lug for it, but let's try it anyway. Nothing, oh yeah. Oh, I can't see the problem. There was actually power going to the switch. It might start. So let's make that a very positive connection in there. See will it do anything. Haha! Right, so if I actually get a proper battery lug for that, there's a chance I could get this thing spinning fast enough to start. Let's see if we can get some oil pressure. Of course, the one time I wasn't wearing gloves. Sorry about the wind noise, but I've got the boat fuel tank connected to the fuel filter, and I'm just going to fill it up with diesel and we'll try and bleed it out. Okay, so that was the bleed screw on the pump. I've got it properly bled out now, and I've raised my fuel tank as well so that it's gravity fed. So, and confirmed that is in the on position, throttle to full. Let's give it a shot. Holy moly. Flew out the oil filter, and let's see as well, we're leaking diesel, so I must be returning fuel into the tank. There's obviously a hole in it, so we're going to have to sort this little mess out before we go any further. Okay, I think that's us for today. I I'm gonna have to go and get a new oil filter. And I did notice yesterday when I spun it over that the pressure gauge went right up into the red, and I thought it's just a problem with my pressure gauge. It appears not. It appears we're getting huge oil pressure. So I think that's us for today. We won't be able to get parts, so I'm just going to leave it here for this evening. Okay, so we're going to try the simple fix first while this oil filter is gone anyway, regardless. Oh, and it's loose as well. So I'm going to put on a fresh filter. Not going to change the oil for now, I'm just going to do the filter and see if that cures our excessive oil pressure. And I'm not sure where the filter sits in the circuit in these 4000s, but hopefully it's depending with the filter, and that the filter sits after the oil pressure output. So I'll find out soon enough. Oh, oil doesn't look good. It's grey, so we've definitely got some water in there. Right, let's put a new filter on. Okay, let's hook it up and see what the oil pressure gauge does this time. And I crank it. Okay, sure if you can see that gauge. Oil pressure issue appears to be fixed. Let's actually just check, see how much oil we have in there as well. Yeah, we'll make it, it'll be fine. Right, let's see, can we get the thing to fire it up? So fuel on, throttle open. See, can we get a few of these injectors? Crank it over and see, do we get anything? Alright, I'll try prime the fuel system again. Okay, so I think I might have solved the mystery of our lack of fuel. This is the rod that is attached to the fuel shutoff. As you can see, this is stuck in the off position. So when the lever is in that position, this lever pushes back against that and cuts the fuel off, but it wasn't returning, so I'm going to force it into the open position. This little lever, which was jammed into the fuel line position, I'm just going to reassemble the pump, and we'll try turning it over again and see what happens. Okay, so back down with the tractor. I picked up this top cover seal kit for a CAV pump. I actually thought I was in the parts suppliers. I actually picked up 4 of them because they're cheap. They're only about a £5 a piece, and I need them for the David Brown as well. So it would appear anytime you take a cover off CAV pump, you're going to need one of these. So I'm going to open that pump up and see, can I find out why she's not delivering diesel. Alright, camera lens might be a bit clearer this time. So these two 10mm, they were wired together. I've broken that wire already, and that cover will lift off. Now you're going to obviously lose all the fuel that's under it when you lift it. And the other thing you need to be careful with here, see if I can get it clear of this thing at all, is there is a spring attached to the underside, and you need to note which hole it enters the throttle lever in. So, and that plate doesn't look like it's operating properly, so I'm going to detach the spring from one end or the other and we'll have a look at the mechanism of the pump. So I'm just going to put the camera down for a minute. Okay, so if we look inside the cover of the pump, this is the stopper. So that's it in the off position, that's it in the fuel on position. Okay, and then the other one is the throttle. So I'll show you. So that's in stop position, okay, which will push this little lever back, which actuates the little piece of metal here that's in the pivot, and that leaves that plate go forward. So what was happening is when you pull this forward, that plate wasn't returning and this wasn't returning. So I think it's free now. When I attach the cover, hopefully all of that mechanism should work properly. So I'm just going to put it back together, put a new gasket in there, and we give it a shot. Okay, this is ideally not a job you carry out in the field, but I've opened the pump again and I have taken out that plate that goes into the governor assembly. To get this out, this is the metering valve. So you can see that little slot there that should turn to a certain position to allow diesel into the pump. So I've given that a clean up. I've cleaned this plate, and I'm going to put it back on the pump now and try it again. I think this is the kind of last resort before I have to remove the pump from the tractor completely. Right. Just going to tighten this much up and then I'll refit the remaining parts, but that valve is now moving freely. Okay, so that's most of it reassembled. That is the rod off the stop lever, which actuates that valve, and this spring will then attach to throttle linkage. This little pin sticks into this plate, which, as I said, already operates the stopper. So I'm just going to put the gasket back in there, connect that spring, and we'll crank it over, see what she does. So, moment of truth, has it done anything? So, things have escalated slightly. There's the pump timing gear. Let's put that cover back on for the moment, and injection pump is here. So basically what I did was turn the engine until I lined up on the time marks, you know, under this cover. Took out the 3 bolts, disconnected the fuel lines, unbolted the pulley. I'm going to leave that in there, it's sitting in the same position in the gear, and just put the covers back on, cover it up to protect it. Take the pump home, open it up, and try and figure out what's going on. Okay, first things first, let's clean this thing up a bit. Going to remove the fuel inlet. I removed this earlier while it was on the tractor, but I couldn't get all the components out. Oh. Yeah, I might need to set up my camera a little bit sturdier than that. That's better. So inside here we have fuel inlet, spring, screen, which is completely clear, looks like new, and there's some other thing I could feel earlier but couldn't get out. It doesn't want to fall out. Must be some kind of maybe a one-way valve or something. So, gonna get a socket. We'll just crack this thing open and have a look inside it. Try and get some idea of what's going on in here. Alright. There's a certain amount of dirt in here. I'll show you that. Sure if the camera will focus properly on it. And other end doesn't look too bad. You can see the way it pumps here. So this is fuel inlet, obviously. And then you have these little sliding sections, so as this rotates they move. I'm just going to rotate the pump. Hopefully you'll be able to see that. Oh yeah, that actually should be stationary. So when the cover is on, there's a little pin that stops that part from rotating, so I'm just going to use something to block it. We'll try rotating the pump itself and see if that operates. That seems to work okay. So, I want to assemble this a couple of times, see what it looks like. Just to see, can I figure out. Oh, okay. So there's quite a lot of crap in that assembly that's just come out of there. I think we clean that and clean inside the body. So I'm going to put on my safety glasses. Give it a blast to compressed air. Get some carburetor cleaner in a minute as I'm thinking. So this is part of the advance mechanism on the bottom. But I believe this bolt holds at the end of the pumping position as well. So it'll have to be withdrawn. Okay, so I'm just going to remove the timing advance mechanism off the bottom. So you can see there's a little plunger that should move here. So look at that, I think that might be sticking. And this lever in here then moves the little cam collar that sits in here. So you have a almost like a square shape, well, the inside on the inside of this collar, and the pump. I'll show you from the inside anyway once I rip it, but I think this looks as though there might have been a bit of water in there, rusty looking dirt in there, so that is jammed up, so we'll free that while it's off the pump. So hopefully that should now allow me to withdraw the end of the pump. So I'm just going to stick it in the vise and get something to grab it with. I realised I'd skipped a step that I had done yesterday, and that is to remove, where are we, this side up, remove the metering valve and the governor assembly and things. So I'm just going to separate the pump now. just unscrew this end plate again so we can see everything. So we've got fuel inlet in through here, down through this plate, and then we have our vane pump. So I'll just rotate this. This plate will stay stationary. Those vanes will turn to pump diesel. Obviously from there the diesel goes through into the high pressure side of the pump. So there's various rollers in this and little plungers, and I think these may actually be sticking. I'm going to have a look at them. Now they are actuated by, in this end of the pump, that little cam plate. So according as it rotates in here, sorry, not put it in front of the camera. So according as the pump assembly rotates in here, this should push little rollers out, in and out, which will move the plungers within the pump, but we just need to make sure all of that is free. I'm going to leave this assembly in position, and obviously when I reassemble the pump I'm going to have to line up the timing marks inside here, and the timing marks have come with this assembly. So it's going to go through it, check it, clean it, reassemble it, and hope I haven't broken something. Okay, so I'm starting to think I might have found the problem. So these rollers, there's one either side, they've got plungers in between, and they pressurize the diesel so they get a feed from our little vane pump at the end. Since pressurized fuel, that should push those two rollers out along with the plungers. Now that one does appear to be moving a bit, but I have a sneaking suspicion that the plungers are jammed. There's definitely signs that there was water inside in this pump at some stage. So I think that water and through sitting, that this isn't working the way it should be properly. Now that one is loose there. I'll just try. Yeah, that bottom one isn't floating the way this one does when it's turned up. So we need to be very careful here, because we have obviously our timing marks here and things, but this black ring that sits in here adjusts the amount of fueling that the pump is giving. So I need to make sure that I keep the location of this ring, and I'm going to crack these off and separate this and try and drift out the plungers out of the centre and give them a clean. Okay, so I've removed the top part off of there, and you can see that fueling plate now. So basically that's kind of got a sloped section in there that limits the travel. Just see that roller there, that limits, sorry, I moved the camera up again, that limits how far the roller can come out, and in turn it limits the distance that the plungers in here can move, and hence reduces the amount of fuel. So if you turn that, it'll allow the rollers to have a further travel and increase your fueling. So I'm going to very carefully remove that ring. I've noted the position of it. So this is on time mark B, and the other thing is we've got the witness marks underneath this, so we'll need to assemble that as well correctly, and that is on, sits on like so, to mate up the with the marks on the shaft inside the pump, so the timing's right. So the fueling ring is now removed, and I can remove the two roller plungers, or the two rollers, Then I'll have access to the plungers in behind. Okay, kind of hoping this is our smoking gun. Plungers are jammed solid inside the bore. You can see, you know, to try and get the camera to focus. Just turn it around, get some light in it. Traces that there's been water in there, and those plungers are not moving. So I'm going to have to knock them out, get them moving freely, and hopefully then when we reassemble it, we'll have diesel. No, and I'm going to come in for criticism for doing this. But, yeah, just going to hammer these things out. I think they can drift through either way, so I'm just kind of line the pump up. I'm going to tap it and see what happens. See, can I break something? So I like breaking stuff. They're hellish tight in there, so there was no hope that the pressure we're getting off the lower pressure pump was going to move these plungers. So just kind of tapping through. One out. The second one should come out now. Yeah. They're going to need thorough cleanup, and hopefully we can get them moving easily. So they come on out. So yeah, just going to put them in the order they came out. We're going to blow there and get a bit of carburetor cleaner and clean it all up. Hopefully I can get it moving. Okay, so I've cleaned and lubricated the plungers and the bores, and they're free floating in there now, so I'll start reassembling it. Okay, so that's the rotating assembly reassembled. I can now catch the rollers and wiggle them in and out, so everything moves freely. When I spin the pump, they throw out. So they will be thrown out. They're pushed out by the pressure from this lower pressure pump on the back. So that forces fuel in between those two rollers and throws them out. So I'm just going to try one thing here now. I'm just going to try to give you a bit of air and see does it force them out. I think I might be in the right inlet there. My air gun won't reach in there anyway properly, but look, I'm pretty confident now that that is our problem solved, hopefully. So I'm going to get the metering, get this pump built up, and we'll put it back in the casing. So when I go to put this assembly together, there is a little kind of keyway there that marries the two ends together to make sure that the timing between the two, between front and back of the pump, is correct. So it just shoves in like that. Then you need to rotate the body so that all the holes line up, and that all the bolts can go back in. I guarantee you I'm going to make a mess of the starting this pump will leak, but look, if it holds diesel long enough to get the engine to run, I can always disassemble it again and replace the O-ring. I just didn't get around to, I didn't buy a full parts kit because I didn't think I'd be doing it. Right, I'm going to switch the camera off and sort this out. Right, so I drifted the piston out of this and it's like tar inside it, so we can a carburetor cleaner. Give the thing a thorough saturation of it. It's more like something you'd find the petrol fuel system, to be honest. It's like degraded fuel or something in there. There was literally lumps of it, so it's gonna clean up the piston and the bore and reassemble it. And hopefully that should be it. Just tighten these up and bolt them onto the pump. I've been up those little tabs in a minute now. I'm pretty confident I'm going to be opening this pump again because it's going to leak everywhere, I think, because I've definitely mangled the O-ring. I should have had a rebuild kit for it, but I wasn't expecting to have to disassemble the entire pump. Really didn't see that one coming. And to be honest, if you told me this had to be done, I would have probably shied away from it, because I was considered injection pumps to be something of a kind of specialised area. But yeah, hopefully it'll work out alright. Okay, so pumps back together. I am cautiously optimistic that I'm going to see fuelet injectors. Whether it gets there at the right time and the right quantity is another thing, and I'm also pretty confident that it's just going to leak diesel everywhere, because I didn't have a new O-ring for them in here and various other O-rings were never replaced. So I'll be probably ordering a rebuild kit for this. I'll get one in order during the week because it will just pour diesel everywhere. But yeah, I think we're going to get it back in the tractor, bleed it up and see, can we get this thing to at least with those injector lines some of it. Okay, so timing gear, which was left where it was, is connected. My pump is bolted loosely in position, and I'm just going to make sure before I tighten it down that I line up with the gear, which I do. Like, you can, there's slots here in these bolts so you can adjust the position of the pump. So we're in the correct position now. Just get a spanner that actually fits it and bolt it down that position, connect the fuel lines, run timing, cover, and we're trying to get some diesel to it. Yeah, so the wind is brutal today, so I'm just going to leave the camera in here where hopefully the wind noise won't be too bad. There's diesel going to the pump, battery's connected. All that's left to do now is turn it over and see if we get diesel in the injectors. Faulty switch. Right, we're close. I'm losing a lot of diesel on the other side from a leak. Just down by the pump on the line, so I'm just going to whack it off, put it back on properly, and hopefully she'll lose less pressure, then she might want to fire. Stops in the correct position. Right, we'll pop a V-turn and she should go. Shit. Fuel at the last injector. Ah. 3 injectors, getting diesel. Oh, come on, baby. You know you want to. You know you want to. Come on. More diesel. Right, there she goes. Obviously needs a little bit more work on that pump, but she's a runner. About time. So yeah, there's still something kind of funky going on inside the pump that is creating that much pressure, so I'm gonna have to take it off and rebuild it properly with some new seals. I think there must have been some reason that it blew out the gasket in that pump cover, but yeah, she's a runner. Right, that cover was fairly loose, so I'm just going to try it. I'm going to give it a fairly low throttle position, try firing it up again. More throttle. Probably let air into the system, of course. Okay. warning moment there. So she'd oil pressure and things anyway. Okay guys, so she's a runner, not as easy as I would have imagined to be, but she did fire it up, she ran. I didn't want to run it for too long because there's no belt in it, there's no alternator, so in turn there's no belt driving the water pump, so no coolant. The oil also needs to be dropped and changed. The oil pressure has gone back to normal, she's sitting around 60 psi, but I'll get another new filter and drop the oil and change it. That is assuming you guys want to see more of it. The owner does want to fix it up, so I think we need to go a little bit further with the repairs. Now obviously the pump was still not happy, it was pouring diesel all over the place and there was air kept getting into it. I had to bleed it several times, so first thing I'm going to do is order a pump seal kit, a full one, pull the pump off it and reseal the full pump and put it back on, so I can do a video of that as well. If you want to find out about CAV pumps, and I swear I got all my information for this video, go to Bundy Bear's Shed. It's an Australian channel, absolutely invaluable when it comes to CAV pumps. I never touched an injection pump in my life, never took one apart aside from briefly pulling the cover off the one on the 1394. So I watched some of his videos and can't say enough about it. Link to his channel's in the description below. So yeah, we'll if the appetite's there, so let me know in the comments below if you want to see another video on the 4000. But it would be nice to get it running properly, do a service on it. We might throw some basic electrics at it and try and drive it out of that corner that's sitting in at the moment. So other than that, just wanted to say thanks to all of you for watching. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and turn on your notifications as well when you subscribe so you can see the next video come up. I just wanted to say huge hello actually to Noel Hickey, one of my subscribers, who was good enough to take the time to come out and meet me when I was up in Mick's place looking at the MF Combine last time. Very good to meet you all. Hopefully we'll catch up again if the weather ever improves enough to do a bit of cutting. It'd be good to see you. So I think that is it guys. Just one thing as well, I'm not sure if you noticed or not, it mightn't have been obvious for the footage, but at the very end of that video it did feel like for a split second like she was going to run away. The governor had a little bit of a moment, so I might just take a look at that as well to be safe when I have the pump off. No, I did try firing it up again, but the batteries were getting low and it had pulled a bunch of air into the system again. But look, we'll deal with all that anyway. So hopefully the next video you see in the 4000, she'll actually be running properly. Okay, what else have I got to say? New projects, hopefully. I'm waiting on a couple of calls. We should have a couple more Willow starts coming along very shortly, and I haven't forgotten about the 1394. I have got the top cover seals. I was buying a new stud for inside and that because I cracked one of the studs totally on the pump cover. I'm ordering a compression test kit, and I've also located an injection tester. So huge amount of feedback. I really appreciate it from everybody on that video. So I'm going to run through your suggestions and let's see if we can get that thing fired up. I just needed a little bit of a break in it. The 4000 was that, it was to be my easy job. It certainly wasn't, hence the length of time between the 1394 video and this one. Apologies for that. I'll get the next video out a lot quicker hopefully. So that is it. Thanks again for watching. See you on the next video.